Hello, everybody. I'm Matthew, and I have lots of hot takes, and I'm only doing this because Max told me that I should start a podcast. I don't have a mic, I don't have a studio, I just have my phone and a voice memos app, so this is between me and God, okay? Okay, we're all on the same page here. So basically, what's been on the brain today, this evening, is why the hell are Star Wars fans so obsessed with their straight ships having children? My god. Like, obviously the thing that comes to mind is the Raylos, because it makes my skin crawl. Where, they have their little, oh, Ben lives. I hate calling him Ben. The only Ben I care about is Ben Kenobi. Good night. But they're like, oh, Ben lives, and he and Rey, they get married and they have lots of children. And I'm like, why? That doesn't feel like a fulfilling narrative for Rey, mainly. But it doesn't feel like a fulfilling narrative for either of them. Societally, I get where it comes from, because there is an expectation for women in a lot of societies to have children to produce heirs, especially male heirs in a lot of the world, for their husbands to continue the family line. And that's some weird. Star Wars fans already have weird problems with heritage and blood family versus chosen family, as The Rise of Skywalker proved. You guys can't. Chosen family narratives are important. Okay? We're all on the same page there? Cool. But. And also, the expectation for women that having kids, being a mother, is gonna make you happy, and that is something that you should want for, fulfillment as a person and a woman. And the fact is that parenthood can be a really fulfilling experience, and it's something that a lot of people do want, but it's not for everyone, and having kids is not a guarantee that you'll feel fulfilled in any way. And I feel specifically with Raylo, it's related a lot to, I don't know, a lot of the people who are shipping Raylo are straight or bi women, and I hate to lump bi women and straight women together, but it's the attraction to men and the internalized misogyny. And I think a lot of it, specifically with Raylo, also comes from a lot of y'all Raylo shippers really, really want it to be Anidala 2 Electric Boogaloo, and I'm just gonna tell you, Chief, it ain't happening. You will never measure up. I'm just gonna say it. Anidala is so iconic. Nothing will ever surpass it. Maybe I'm just a prequel stan. But every time I hear Across the Stars, it just gets me, And Raylo will never measure up. First, because it's a garbage ship. Second, it's nothing's gonna measure up. And it's just because Anakin and Padme had kids, and just because Luke and Leia saved the galaxy or whatever, doesn't mean that your ship also has to have kids for both or more parties to feel fulfilled and to have led satisfying lives and have had, satisfying character arcs. I don't know. Just because Anakin and Padme had kids, and just because Han and Leia had a fuck up of a son, doesn't mean that your ship needs to have kids for it to be valid or cool or whatever. And, like, obviously, like I said, parenthood can be a fulfilling experience, and it's not bad to want kids, and it's not bad to think about, oh, what it would be like if these fictional characters had kids, but, like, the obsession with it just drives me up the wall. It's like, what's the point? What's the point? And it's not just the sequel fans. I mean, it also happens a lot in the original trilogy extended universe stuff where, you know, Han and Leia have, like, 3 kids, and Luke and Mara Jade, which, by the way, giving Luke a wife, bad decision. Bad decision. I never gonna get behind that. Glad it's not canon anymore. They have a kid, and it's like, it feels like, you know what J.K. Rowling did with the epilogue to Harry Potter, where all of the main characters are paired up, married with children? It feels like that. That's what it feels like. And, you know, prequel stands, Clone Wars stands, we are not immune. I swear, on God, if I have to see one more post on my Instagram Explore page about how Corky cries is Obi-Wan and Satine's love child, I will fling myself out a window. I swear, I am so tired of it. It's like, first of all, you can make the argument here that Anakin is just stupid. He's just an idiot and never learned what contraception was. And, you know, me and my younger sibling, our parents used condoms, but mistakes happen. How do you think we got here? And, you know, sometimes protection doesn't work. It's okay. But the thing is, first of all, I think this is ignoring the fact that Obi-Wan is always read as more of a gay man than a... Like, obviously, if you headcanon Obi-Wan is bi or anything else, it's completely fine. I support you, and I think you're valid. Like, this isn't a me canceling thing. It's just that, like, personally, he's always read kind of more as a gay man to me. And, you know, I personally think his and Satine's romance subplot is really, really uncompelling. Because, let me go on a side tangent here. It's like, first of all, like I said, nothing's gonna measure up to Annie Dalla, because it's iconic. It's literally iconic. And, you know, nothing else in the saga is really gonna measure up. No other canon ships in the saga are gonna measure up. It's just how it is. You live and let live. But if you like watching the season 2 Mandalore arc, it's like it doesn't feel convincing. It doesn't feel like the writers are trying to sell you on it. It doesn't feel like they're trying to convince you that the characters are actually feeling the emotions they say they're feeling. Like, there's the old married couple bickering that we all love. Yes, it's, you know, it's great. But it's like, it's a lot of telling rather than showing. Like, Obi-Wan's all, had you said the word, I would have left the Jedi Order. It's like, nothing you've done up to this point and nothing you do after this point in this arc have led up to that. Nothing has followed through. There's no follow through. I mean, there's kind of the bit in The Lawless where he's like, okay, screw the council, I'm going to Mandalore. But that's not the same thing. It doesn't feel the same. There's just no lead up to it. There's no follow through. Anakin's like, oh, go rescue your girlfriend. It's like, first of all, Anakin's also projecting there where... Here's my deal. Wild Space and the Revenge of the Sith novel by Karen Miller and Matthew Stover, respectively, both kind of establish that while, you know, Anakin's the poster boy for attachment, Obi-Wan also has an issue with it. Like, the reason he took on Anakin as his Padawan is because Qui-Gon told him, you know, train the boy, and he was attached to Qui-Gon for, you know, obvious reasons. Obvious parental figure reasons, you know? Duh. Big duh. And Wild Space, especially, kind of establishes, like, Yoda's talking to Obi-Wan while Anakin's, like, unconscious. This takes place directly after the end of Attack of the Clones. Yoda's like, I know you have issues with attachment. I know you're practically attached at the hip to Anakin. But and I know you want to be his friend right now. But he doesn't need a friend, he needs a teacher. He doesn't need you being attached to him, because he's already dealing with, nobody's blind. They all know he's got feelings for Padme. It's whatever. But if the Clone Wars wanted to show that Obi-Wan also has a deal with attachment, and that he's also prone to it, then they could have found some other way to do it, because it doesn't feel convincing. It doesn't feel convincing at all. Yeah, back to what I was saying. Yeah, Obi-Wan and Satine aren't stupid, and Satine at this point is probably, at the point where Corky would have been born, was probably already on her way to being a career politician and a monarch. And it doesn't feel like this is space. Abortions have to exist. Padme in Revenge of the Sith establishes that reproductive care is pretty good in the Republic. So I'm gonna assume that, if Satine did end up pregnant from anyone, her first thought probably wouldn't have been, I'm gonna keep this kid, because, scandal. But it's aside from the fact that neither of them are stupid, first of all, I know the argument is a lot of the time that, Corky, he's Satine's nephew, but we never meet his parents. It's people sometimes have siblings, people sometimes have nieces and nephews. Not everything is a galactic incident. Not everything has to be a super big deal. Not everything has to be a political scandal. And the other argument I see a lot is that Corky apparently looks a lot like Obi-Wan. The thing that gets cited is the scene in Deception in season 4, beard gone. Bad decision, that. But it's first of all, we know because Satine and Bo-Katan are sisters that red hair does run in the Kry's gene pool. So hair color's whatever. But additionally, it's what other argument do you have for Corky looking like Obi-Wan? Well, he has a jawline? I don't know if you know this, but sometimes, especially in an animated format where you're not getting photorealism, sometimes people look like people they're not related to. I just a concept. And, not everything has to be a scandal. Not everything has to be some love child cover-up. Not everything, you don't have to turn everything into a galactic incident. It doesn't have, sometimes people have siblings, and sometimes those siblings have kids of their own. I know the argument is, we never meet Corky's parents, but it's sometimes parents die. because y'all are apparently so obsessed with J.K. Rowling's whole married with children thing, I would assume that you guys know that sometimes parents die. Sometimes parents leave, sometimes parents are abusive. Sometimes kids just aren't in their parents' lives. Sometimes, like I said, not everything has to be a scandal and a cover-up. And I know it's fiction and Star Wars is Star Wars, so nothing is... Well, that's a lie. A lot of things in Star Wars are unintentional. But, not everything is intentional. Not everything has to be... Not everything has to have some deeper meaning. There aren't always rabbit holes and theories, It's whatever. I'm just so tired of Star Wars fans looking at their straight ships and being like, yes, they have to have kids. Because Star Wars in canon does it, especially in Legends canon. Especially in EU stuff. And that's its a whole host of things. But, I'm in a lot of media, unfortunately, the idea is that you need to be married and have kids to be happy and to have a fulfilling life and narrative. I hate to bring up the Wheel of Time here because everyone's so tired of me talking about the Wheel of Time all the time. But, by the end of A Memory of Light, all of our main characters are either married or in long-term relationships, because, Rand doesn't marry either of the 3 gals, who all deserved way better, by the way. But by the end, all of the main characters are paired off into relationships. Elaine's pregnant with Rand's kids. And, like I said, that's a weird heir thing. Where it's you have to continue the bloodline. Boring. Bloodlines are bullshit. Good night. But it's the same sort of Harry Potter epilogue thing where everyone's married with kids because that's the only possible way they can have satisfying narrative arcs, especially the women. The Wheel of Time even does it where, they're in our main cast, there might be more women than men. But, Rand just gets 3 wives to balance it out and make sure they all are in a relationship, especially a heterosexual one. And it's tiring, it's the idea that you will only be happy if you are in a relationship, especially a straight relationship. And you will only be happy if you have kids, especially if that narrative gets pushed a lot for women. It's oh, when are you gonna have kids? When are you gonna have kids? I'm a trans dude, but I'm not out to my parents. And it's I talk about, oh, I don't want kids, and my mom's like, oh, you might someday change your mind. It's no, I don't think I will. I don't want kids. I don't want to carry my own children. Some trans guys do. That's fine. But it's not for me, And it's just I don't know. What I'm getting at here is I'm so tired of Star Wars fans, Star Wars writers, people who interact with Star Wars in any way, just being yeah, these people in relationships have to have had children at some point. Otherwise, it's I guess it might not have been true love. I mean, they don't say the last part, but I'm just saying the quiet part's loud here, I guess. I don't know. Like I said, it's just tiring to see it all the time. It's they don't have to have kids. It's okay. They don't have to have had kids. You can still ship them. They don't have to have had kids in canon. It's fine. It's whatever. Move on with your lives. Get a hobby that isn't projecting your own societal expectation of having children onto fictional characters. Get therapy. That's how I'm gonna end this. See a counselor, see a therapist. Unlearn the misogynist attitudes that society teaches you. Good night, sleep well.